What if I told you there's a way for NIO to get billions of dollars without dilution? And guys, this is not me giving hypothetical talk. It's written down as a contingency. You can read it yourself if you like, but they have to get these billions of dollars or else the Hefei government is gonna go after NIO. So a lot of you guys still don't understand what the difference is between NIO China and NIO Inc. They're two separate entities by itself, all right? So before everything was under NIO Inc. All the assets, everything. But remember what happened with NIO? They were running short on cash and they needed help. The Hefei government was willing to help, but it's not like the traditional cash injection. No, that is a bad move. So what they did is they formed a new entity called NIO China, and they moved all the assets from NIO Inc. to NIO China, and then NIO Inc. only owns about 90% of NIO China, whereas the other remaining is owned by the investors, which are the government and some other big whales, right? The government being the Hefei government specifically, all right? And that also means there's lots of cash injected into NIO Inc. as well. In February 2021, we, through one of our wholly owned subsidiaries, also purchased from two of the Hefei strategic investors an aggregate of 3.305% equity interest in NIO China for a total consideration of RMB 5.5 billion and subscribed for newly increased registered capital of NIO China at a subscription price of RMB 10.0 billion. As a result of these transactions, as of the date of this annual report, the registered capital of NIO China is approximately RMB 6.167 billion, and we hold 90.36% controlling equity interest in NIO China. We are fulfilling our other obligations, including injecting the asset consideration into NIO China in accordance with Hefei agreement. But of course, this isn't like the U.S. government where they're just going to give you money for free and not have any sort of contingency. The government sees everything as an investment, and it has to have a positive return capital wise. All right, so they got to make money from this transaction. It can't be just I give you the money and the money's kaput and gone. It's not like taxpayer money or something. It's the government's money. They expect to triple it or at least double it. So the government is in it to earn money. But how will they earn money? That is, of course, the contingency that NIO China has to list, absolutely 100% has to list by July of 2025. And they have to announce that they got to list before July of 2024 or get approval to listing before that date. So very soon between now and then, we're going to see, definitely going to see a investor relations report that NIO China is going to list and got approved for listing for China A shares. But what we're seeing is gradually over the years, NIO Inc. has started purchasing back its stake in NIO China, increasing its stake in NIO China. So NIO China will definitely 100% go public before that date, or else NIO is going to have to pay back 500 million to the Hefei government. NIO does not want to do that. 500 million US dollars, all right? So they 100% will have to list in China. Well, if they list in China, NIO Inc. can sell a portion of their stake in NIO China and raise money. It doesn't have to be a big amount. It can be just a small portion. And Chinese IPOs are very, very hot and significantly jacked up in price. So what we can also expect is if NIO China lists in China, then the IPO price will be pretty high. So NIO will definitely earn a decent buck from that, worth billions and billions of dollars. Now, they could sell as much as 15% of NIO China once they're listed. That is quite a big portion. Here on the official SEC document, it says over here. And by the way, I'll link this down below so you guys can open it up and read it yourself. It's on page 20 and 21. But here it says, in addition, before NIO China completes its potential qualified initial public offering without the prior written consent of the Hefei strategic investors, we may not directly or indirectly transfer, pledge, or otherwise dispose of NIO China's shares to a third party that may result in our shareholding in NIO China falling below 60% without the prior written consent of the Hefei strategic investors. We have the right to directly or indirectly transfer, pledge, or otherwise dispose of no more than 15% of NIO China shares. So maximum they can sell is 15% pretty much. That will actually get them a ton of money, guys. 15%, that will get them a ton of money. So of course this outlines a lot of the risks involved. And then over here in this, it says our collaboration with the Hefei strategic investors at Hefei and our investment in NIO China are subject to a number of other risks, many of which are beyond our control. If any of these risks materializes, the business of NIO China and our business results of operation and financial conditions may be materially and adversely affected, which could adversely affect the price of our ADS. For example, we may not be able to perform our contractual obligation under the Hefei agreement due to reasons beyond our control. As a result, we may be subject to liabilities and obligations under the Hefei agreements and may not be able to achieve the expected benefits of the investment. We may need to obtain additional financing to fund our contractual obligations under the Hefei agreement, and such financing may not be available in the amounts or on terms acceptable to us, if at all. So of course it's outlining some of the risk. So NIO has to absolutely go public. NIO China has to go public before July 2025. 100% they have to. Hefei government's got a knife behind NIO's back. It's pretty much like, you got to do it, man. And then you got to understand that NIO Inc. is at the mercy of the Hefei government, all right? It's not like, they gave you the money to save you, and you're doing good right now. That does not mean that they do not have the say-so, all right? Here in this paragraph, in connection with this investment, NIO China granted certain minority shareholders rights to the Hefei strategic investors, including, among others, the right of first refusal, cold sale right, preemptive right, anti-dilution right, redemption right, liquidation preference, and conditional drag-along right. You would not enjoy these preferential rights or treatments through investing in our ADS and the underlying ordinary shares. Exercise these preferential rights by the Hefei strategic investors may also adversely affect your investment in our company. That's basically just warning shareholders that, we got to listen to the Hefei government. Even if NIO doesn't want NIO China to be listed, they're pretty much strong-armed and forced to list. And of course, it's a good thing. They're going to get billions in the process. So it's a win-win situation. And of course, the Hefei government makes a big return on their investment by saving NIO back in early 2020. A lot of this is very complicated. I recommend you go read it yourself, understand the full picture. The Hefei government does have preferential voting rights and priority over ADS shareholders. So it's a good thing that those guys get to cash out, because once they cash out, we don't have to worry about them anymore. Let them cash out. NIO China gets public. Hefei government cashes out. They sell their stake. They get their money. NIO Inc. also sells some of their stake in NIO China to the public. Boom, we also get a ton of money. Win, win, win. Everybody wins in the end. Nothing bad happens. And NIO stock goes to the moon. As always, stay safe, stay healthy. Peace out.